So we'll just go ahead and get started with the Finance Subcommittee. I would like to say thank you all for coming and thank my colleagues on the council for joining. The counselor on the committee that's here is Counselor Davila. Thank you, Counselor Davila, for joining. We also joined by Council President Marcus Williams, Counselor Curran, Counselor Hurst, Counselor Gomez. Thank you, Counselor Gomez. And thank you, Tim Sheehan, Sandy Federico, Pam Peebles, Pat Burns, Lindsay Hackett, Tom Moore, Chris Signoli, and Melanie Kobe for joining us today. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. I'm just gonna go write down the agenda and talk about the orders on here and the grants and whatever else we have to discuss on here. And so the first order on the agenda is the Council on Aging grant, which is $286,608. Who will speak to that?
I will, Councilor Whitfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
That's our Council on Aging grant, and it's the funding for all of the senior centers in the city, the satellite centers, as well as the Ray Jordan Center. It pays for salaries as well as programming and supplies, postage, things like that.
Muted. Sorry, muted. Thank you, Sandy. Any questions from anyone? Any counselors have questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
You have a question? Sure. Counselor Gomez.
Yeah, where this money coming from?
It's a federal grant, Councilor Gomez.
Federal grant. And what's the possibility of getting a list per center, how much they will get out of this grant?
I guess that will depend on when we open. That's a hard question for me to answer. $225,000 of that 286 is salaries alone. Yeah.
All right, say no more.
So it's a very small portion after that.
That's nothing.
So are you referring to programming?
No, I just wanted to know how much of that money those centers were getting for their programs or whatever is that they do at their programs.
The major portion of it is salaries, and so anything beyond that, we have applied for CDBG funding to pay for supplies, and each of the centers gets a portion of that. I can't speak to that because I don't know if we'll be getting it or not this year.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
How many staff does that pay for?
Let's see, there's five.
Five.
Yeah.
All right. No problem. Any other questions from counselors? Are you seeing no one move? Oh, sure.
I couldn't get to the hand in time.
No problem, Counselor Davila.
So, hi, Sandy. How much did you say that goes for salaries?
It's the exact figure is $225,052.
Okay, is that 5-pay staff? Are they administrative or are they line workers at the centers themselves?
Those are the site coordinators.
Site coordinators.
Yes.
Okay, this is a recurring grant that we get every year from the federal
Yes,
government?
it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, I don't have the budget in front of me, but what's the total budget for the Council of Aging?
$286,608.
No, right, but the total budget altogether. If you don't know.
That is the Council on Aging total budget.
Oh, so this is the budget.
That's it. Yes.
Are you asking the total budget for the senior centers?
Yeah,
or?
That's not the same as the senior center or.
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is how much money is allocated to all the senior centers combined for the city? If you know, Sandy.
I don't actually know that.
But you could find it out tomorrow.
I mean, I can send you that information if you'd like.
Yeah,
We
just out
can get
curiosity,
that
let me know.
information because it's
sure.
grants and then her general fund budget as well. So we can put the all funds budget together for the elders department if that's what you're
Yeah,
asking.
that's fine. Thank you,
Okay.
Lindsay. Good to see you, Lindsay.
Nice to see you too.
Thanks,
you,
Yeah, I didn't
Lindsay.
mean to jump in.
That's
No,
all
I'm
right.
glad
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
did. Thank
No, that's
you.
fine. All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. I want to welcome Counselor Allen, who's also a member of the Finance Committee. Thank you, Counselor Allen, for joining.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Springfield City Library donation of $11,637.28. Pia, no, who's here to speak to that? Libraries.
I can speak to that.
Sure.
Okay, so the library donations grant, the library donations, that's what we're on, right? Sorry, I was daydreaming. 1,000, sorry about that. Okay. So the library's donations, $11,000. It's a total of 14 separate donations. And the most substantial was $10,000 from the Irene and George Davis Foundation. The donors have requested the funds be used not for any specific purpose, and the funds will be used to assist funding of the operational expenses for the city's libraries.
Any questions from counselors?
Just one question, please,
Sure.
just to verify. So Lindsay, I understand what you just said about that. Any money still coming in for the East Forest Park Library for the drive, that does not come to you. That goes over to the Library Foundation, right?
It will have to come to City Council for appropriation, but yes, it will go directly to the East Forest Park Library Fund.
But in terms of the money coming in like this, that like if they're getting donations for that grant, that drive is still on. It's
Right.
around,
It would be a specified purpose, and that would be specified purpose specifically for the East Forest Park Library.
right. So that money would go. You're not answering exactly the question I'm asking. The question I'm asking is, does all the money that goes to the East Forest Park Library Drive, does it go through the Springfield Library Foundation first, or does some of it come to you guys?
Well, it depends where the donations are going to. I suppose if someone made a donation right to the city or right to the library specifically for the East Forest Park Library, it would come through us. If they make it to the Library Foundation because they're doing the drive, then it would come through them.
Okay,
Seen
great.
majority, yeah, I'm sorry about that, Councilor Allen, I misunderstood. You've seen
Okay.
the majority come through because they're the ones doing the drive.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Tim. Any other questions from counselors on the donations? All right, seeing none, moving right along. The TJ O'Connor donation, $6,111. Hi, Pam, I see you.
My mute, there we go. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thanks for listening. So the TJO donation is about a 10-month time frame where we received $6,111, and that was a total of 79 donors. The most substantial was an $800 gift from a Holyoke veterinarian after adopting the dog of their dreams.
That's nice. And this money goes toward caring for the facility or the animals or whatever you need it for?
Yeah, historically it's been, we try to honor the donors. It's unrestricted money, but we try to treat it as if, in the spirit of donations. But we really use it for wherever our budget's in a pinch. We've used it a number of times for salaries. If we wanted to hire someone who was not in the budget, finance would have a discussion with us and allow us sometimes to use the extra thousands of dollars this year out of it, and then our budget could assume it next year, in order to recruit really great people who are a good fit. We use it, a lot of it for, we have a volunteer pool of over 100 people. Well, pre-COVID we did. And we would use for sympathy flowers or childbirth, we'd use it somehow to acknowledge them. Some of our volunteers are putting in hours and hours, and we didn't want that to go unnoticed. And then we also do neat things like we put a chicken coop up here because TGO sees about 100 chickens a year from our city. And we also put up a nice gazebo so we could attract adopters and give them a place, nice place to sit while they're here. So it's really a mixed bag what we use it for.
Wow, some great things you use it for. It's fantastic. Any other questions from counselors? All right.
No,
Yeah.
thank
No, you're welcome. Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
You're welcome. FY21 Safe and Senior Safe Grant for $14,599.
Thank you. So this grant is for fire education, both for students and for seniors. The totals are $14,599, which is the student awareness of fire education. So that's the student portion, and $3,219 is the senior safe portion. This program was created to educate folks about fire prevention. And the funding is used to purchase promotional supplies such as coloring books, pencils, crayons, stickers, and plastic red fire hats. And then for the senior portion, the programming is aimed at educating seniors on fire prevention and home safety and how to be prepared in the event of a fire. And the funding is also used for promotional supplies such as pot holders and pencils.
Perfect. Any questions from counselors? All right. Seeing none, moving right along. Parks Department into donation $20,000.
I'll speak to this one as well. So this is part of the HCA with the INSA adult use, HCA with the city. And as part of the HCA, there is a $20,000 donation that is to be used for the maintenance and improvements of Riverfront Park.
Any questions from counselors? Riverfront looks good. I love walking out there. It looks good. It's great. I got to get back out there, but it's really good. No questions on this?
I just have a quick
Sure.
sort of a question. With regards to the, I know you say maintenance and improvement. Do you know of any improvement that might be done this year with this money, or is that going to go towards maintenance?
Yes, so I found out from Pat Sullivan exactly what he's going to be using the money for. Let me just pull it up here. Sorry, my email wasn't working right when I started, but now it's back up. Okay. Okay, so he's going to be using it for this year for overseeing the festival field and starting an organic fertilizer program.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay. Any other questions, counselors?
I'm sorry, I have a question. What was that in reference to? That was the Riverfront Park?
Yes.
And so what's he doing with it?
He is going to be using it towards maintaining the park, including overseeing the festival fields and starting an organic fertilizer program.
Starting an organic what? I'm sorry, you broke
Fertilizer.
up.
Fertilizer program.
How does that improve the park? The organic fertilizer program?
He's been moving some parks over to organic fertilizer. He has a whole explanation as to why it's better and safer for the city's parks.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure that this money was going directly towards Riverfront Park. But it sounds like, okay, all right, sounds good.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Any other questions from counselors? Okay, seeing none. I want to welcome Councilor Fenton. Thank you for joining, Councilor Fenton. Let's see, we are on item number 6, Order authorizing expenditures of FY22 Chapter 90 funds for $3,689. I'm sorry, $3,689,231.
Good evening, councilors. Chris Signoli, DPW Director. The $3.6 million is the same appropriation from the state. That's basically been the same way for the last 10 years. Of the 3.6, we will be using 2.7 for our paving program, 150,000 for crack sealing, 100,000 for traffic signal improvements, and $200,000 for staff salaries, and the remainder 539,000 for design work that we will be doing on projects. Of the 2.7 million that we're doing for paving this year, number one, we've seen a huge increase in pricing. So we will be doing 3 arterial streets this year and 6 residential streets. While the length of the paving program we're doing this year is about the same, the streets that we're doing are basically some of the bigger streets in the city that have all been on the shelf for probably 4 or 5 years because of utility work. Chestnut Street downtown, Fort Pleasant, as an example, Pasco Road. These are places where we haven't been able to get to simply because of condition of the or work that was being done by the utility company. So that is how the money will be spent.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Counselor Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris, is this an increase from last year? What's the difference between this and last?
It might be about $20,000 increase, I think. If that, I don't have last year's number in front of me, but it was, I think last year was 3.66.
Okay.
9, so it was about $20,000.
Yeah, that's not significant, but
no.
Do you have any updates, because it is related to roads, on just the Berkshire and Bay intersection and there? I've had some constituent complaints about, the number of potholes that have emerged, and just wondering when that area of the traffic is going to get done.
The Berkshire and Bay actually started full construction. They started construction back up today. It's a project. They were out there today doing basically just getting ready. Any potholes or anything that are in their construction area that have to address. So when our staff met with them today, we went over that, and they are in the process of submitting their revised schedule or updated schedule to us to get everything completed through this calendar year. So when I get that information, but yeah, if you have any issues in that area specific, just get them to me. I'll get them to my staff and to Mass DOT to make sure they get taken care of.
All right, appreciate it, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Williams. Counselor Davila?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris, good to see you. What were those 6 streets that you talked about?
The 3 main arterial streets are Chestnut, which is essentially from Lyman to Carew, Fort Pleasant, entire length of Fort Pleasant, and Pasco Road from Boston Road to Page Boulevard. That is going to be the first section, and then next year we'll be doing the next section of Pasco Road. Residential streets, Colonial Avenue, Gillette Avenue, Phelan, Hartwick Street, Atwater, and Clearbrook. And those streets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're averaging about 2,000 feet of street on each one of those. So these are all locations, as I said, that have been on the shelf for 4 or 5 years, some cases, waiting for primarily the gas company to get out of the way. So now that they're out of the way, every year we usually do about 20. This year is 9. Not that we're doing less work, it's just that the roads that we're doing are a lot longer.
Right. Now, Chris, you said about 2,000 feet. Is that basically large area that you're going to be redoing, or is that just filling up the whole?
Such as curb to curb on all the streets. And for example, Fort Pleasant, it's the entire street. Pasco Road from Boston to Page Boulevard. Residential streets that we're talking about are usually the entire length of a residential street.
Okay.
as an example, Gillette Avenue will be going all the way from Allen Street all the way out to
Right.
South Branch Parkway. So, that's for almost a mile worth of road that we're doing on some of these residentials.
Right. Now, Chris, I know it's kind of hard to put you turn on the crystal ball, but I think you just say that we have a decrease of $20,000 for fiscal year 22.
No, it's an increase, Councilor.
Oh, it's an increase. I'm
It's a
sorry.
small increase, yeah.
Sorry. Oh, even better. Small increase. Now, should we expect similar results for fiscal year 23? I know that's down the road, but I'm thinking in my head with the possible constraints of COVID crisis.
My guess would be yes, is that over the past X amount of 10 years, the state has appropriated $200 million statewide. And there's just a standard formula that brings it down to the municipality. And that's what it's been. Governor Baker a couple times has increased the allotment, in some cases very, very small, where we've gotten, another $30,000 or $40,000. In some cases, we've gotten almost $1 million. The current contract that we're on for this year that we are finishing up, we started last July and we'll be finishing up this June, actually looks like we're going to have some decent money left over. So we may be adding a handful of streets later this year, but we got to wait. We're just getting started this week, so
Okay.
want to look at it. But my guess is as we move forward, yeah, we're going to be receiving the same amount from the state.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Before Councilor Allen, Chris, I just wanted to ask you for the 6 residential streets, can you give the zip codes, areas?
I don't have the zip codes, but Colonial Avenue is in Upper Hill. Gillette Avenue is East Forest Park. Phelan is in Pine Point. Hartwick is in Forest Park. Atwater is Liberty Heights, and Clearbrook is in 16 acres.
Good mixture. Good mixture.
All
right.
We try.
Now you succeeded.
We try.
Thank you,
And
Chris.
just on the arterials where Chestnut's in Metro Center, Fort Pleasant obviously is in Forest Park, and Pasco is in Indian Orchard.
Okay. Oh, that end of Pasco. Okay. Yep. All right. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
That is great. Councilor Allen?
No, thank you. I'll pass. That was my question. You asked it for me. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Councilor Allen.
That's all right.
Thank you.
All right.
We got the same result we wanted.
We got the same result.
Yep. All right, so no other questions. We will move to the February revenue and expenditure report.
Thank you, Counselor. February revenue expenditure report. Just a few highlights I wanted to point out. The motor vehicle commitment was due March 10th, and in February of that commitment, we collected $2.6 million. On the real estate personal property, the third quarter bill was due on February 1st, and during the month of February, we collected $23.9 million, with the majority of that coming in from the mortgage companies on the due date. On the expenditure side, I'm glad we have Chris Signoli here. I just wanted to talk about the snow and ice expenses for the month of February. The total expenses in February were $485,000, and the year-to-date expenses at the end of February were $886,000.
400. I'm sorry. What was the 400? What was the 485,000?
That was the expenses just in the month of February. There was 2 major storms, February 1st and February 7th. There was also a large salt purchase done in the month of February. So can give you the exact amount.
Okay. No, I don't need to. I just didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And Chris, is that a good year?
I think I don't anticipate that we'll be having any major expenses the remainder of the year. We will probably be about 250 once we end up liquidating all of the POs associated with the contractors. We'll probably be about 250,000 under our our budget number for the year. So in the end, it did end up being a good year. We advanced purchased a lot of salt from last year, so we'll have some funds left over.
That's fantastic. We love funds left over. Okay, any other questions for Pat or Chris from the counselors? So, I'm sorry, I have one question. I don't know why I passed the mic yet. For Pat, so we collected 2.6 million from motor vehicle.
Yes, that was just in the month of February with the bills being due in March. The majority of the collections were actually the first 2 weeks of March. So when next month, when I'm giving the March report, you're going to see that motor vehicle revenue amount go close to 100% of the budget for the year, which is where it should be once we go past the commitment one due date.
Oh, that's great. And 23.9 million for real estate. How are we doing there as far as revenue collection?
We're doing very well there. We're right at the almost at the 75% mark, which would be the first 3 quarters of the year. So we have 1 quarter left to go. So that's how you kind of see the revenue is outpacing the expenses this time of year, just because we've already billed 75% of our real estate and personal property revenue at this point. So that's how the expenditures usually catch up with the revenue come May and June.
May and June. Okay. Well, so far so good with revenue and being under budget. All right. That was a good one.
I just hope it doesn't snow tonight now that I've mentioned the snow and ice.
I know. That's what always happens in April. We're gonna say a good year and then it's gonna snow. We don't need that. Councilor Davila.
Just a quick question. Pat, that excise tax money that goes right into the general fund?
Yes, that's built into our local receipts as
Okay.
part of the tax recap sheet.
Okay.
So
And how much money you say that was?
the budget for this year is 10.6 million. So
No, the one the amount we just collected. You said we had higher amount?
we collected 2.6 just in the month of February.
Right.
So our year-to-date total was 5.3. You're going to see that amount go up significantly in the month of March when
Okay.
the commitment one bills are due.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I just want to acknowledge Commissioner Colton joined us as well. Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions for Pat or Chris? All right. Seeing none, we are going to move along to order approving memorandum of understanding agreement with the Springfield Business Improvement District. I think that's you, Tim.
It is. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good evening, counselors. This is a memorandum of understanding between the city of Springfield and the Springfield Business Improvement District. As all of you know, the city has substantial real estate assets that are within the Business Improvement District, and we benefit from the services provided by the district, but we're exempt from the fees that other real estate owners ultimately have to pay for those services. So in exchange for us considering support for the bid, we ultimately come up with a list of services that the city wants to see enhanced, both to complement our own existing efforts within the district, and the bid actually coming in and helping to make those better or improve the services that we're currently providing. The MOU is for $150,000, and in attachment A to the memorandum of understanding is the list of the services that would be provided. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Any questions from counselors?
Yeah, I got one.
Sure, Tim.
I just raised my hand. Thanks, Madam Chair. Tim, just going back in time on this one. There was a time when we were wrestling over this, so it's probably 6-7 years ago. And at the time, the annual fee was 75 grand and the city was behind 2 years or 3 years or something. And we fixed all that and got caught up. It sounds like that I'm, going back in time and that you guys have got a new memorandum of understanding. I'm just wondering what the fee is. Did the fee go up to 150? Is that the annual fee?
The last one I had was $140,000, and it was broken out in providing. It was more focused on public safety and marketing, and that was the last fee that I had broken out. That goes back over 2 years ago.
But regardless of the number, then let's. I'm not bringing this up to balk at the number or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if we have a good understanding. At the time, there wasn't just that we were out of step with paying. We also were out of step with being happy with the services they provided.
That is the point. With this particular memorandum of understanding, we actually went back in and we looked at specifically what services we wanted to see the bid performing, and in making sure that we were monitoring that those services were being performed as we expected.
And you have a good understanding now at this point, would you say?
I believe we do.
All right, that's great. I'm all set. Here, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions for Tim? Thank you, Tim.
A lot of Tims.
Yeah. All right, seeing none, we are going to move to, I think, the final order approving amendments to the toll management agreement and lease agreement with the Springfield Parking Authority.
Counselor, I think I can take this one. These are two amendments that essentially bring the city and the SPA's towing agreements to the end of their cycle. These contracts are all coming up in November to be rebid. The current vendor that the parking authority uses is CJ's Towing. They've been under contract for some time, so their contract coming up. In this current, latest round of negotiations, we'll be looking to, take a look at the structure of the contract, see how we can make adjustments based on, how operations have gone over the last, 5 years or so, and then, hopefully look to gain more profit out of the contract like we're always looking to do. These amendments essentially take the terms that we're operating under right now, and they bring them current with the term of the existing contract that Parking Authority holds with CJ's Towing. So there's no fiscal change to the city. One of the amendments calls for a reduction in the lease to the overflow lot, the Chandler lot. That's something that's been in place since 2017. So we've been receiving that reduced amount already, and we've been operating sort of month to month under the terms that we've had with the other contract. So this isn't a fiscal impact to our bottom line, which is good news. It's more of a housekeeping measure because, looking at the contracts at the spa, I wanted everything to line up perfectly. November of this year is when everything expires. So I wanted to have every contract lined up together so that when everything gets signed the next time around, everything's in perfect order and they all expire at the same time. So I'd be happy to answer any questions because these two items encompass the towing operations for the city. So there might be some kind of ancillary stuff you guys want to ask. I'd be happy to kind of answer.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. Wait a minute, lost my train of thought. So the contract end in November, are you saying that we're going back out to bid in December?
Yeah, so right, the bid would happen before then. And the way it works is that the city maintains contracts with the spa to operate its on-street operations. Part of that is the towing and booting piece of it. A lot of it is what you see day to day with the officers going around and enforcing meter violations and stuff like that. But the towing is its own separate contract. And, essentially when the Chandler lease came up the last time, it was in 2017. And we had done, that was, I think, the last time the spa did its bidding for the vendor contract. At that time, the bidder for the vendor contract, CJ's, bid us a price of $2,200 a month instead of $4,200 a month. We talked to the city about, this is the spa, talked to the city about potentially just turning the lot back over for, potential redevelopment use or kind of a repurposing. That proved to be a much more difficult task than we originally thought because the lot's quite large and has a number of vehicles on it. So CJ's did a number of liquidations and auctions that sold off a ton of cars and reduced their stock in an effort to try to have all of us sort of, see, do we want to take this back or not? We did at the spa an audit of the lot to see what inventory they had, what they were supposed to be keeping, what was ours, and what was the private businesses, stuff like that. After all that took place, we looked at each other, the city and the spa, and said, I don't think it makes much sense to put this out for development purposes right now. It seems like a lot of work to get this site ready. It is being used in a small capacity by the vendor. They don't really need it for essential operations as far as I understand it, but it is being used and maintained by them. They're paying the liability for insurance and they're cleaning the lot when something happens like trash or rubbish. So to a certain extent, it's being used in a capacity we imagined it for. I think when we look at this in say we get to a contract proposal in early November and we come for the council, I think this lot will probably still be a part of the equation, but there's a chance that everybody looks at it then and says, maybe it's time to take it offline and just liquidate whatever's there and bring it back into the city's fold, because we are the owners of the lot. So, it's possible that makes sense, but that's where the leasing piece of it comes in for Chandler Street. The towing management agreement is just the SPA getting permission from the city to conduct towing operations, to sort of indemnify the city from liability for things that may go wrong, and to conduct the procurement to hire a vendor and kind of go into a contract with them.
That was so thorough. I mean,
Sorry if I was long-winded.
I
Sorry.
appreciate it. No, I like it.
So the last thing I'll say is we'll be back for the council with a new tow contract and new lease. Probably, I'm hopeful like October. That'd be fantastic if we could get everything wrapped up by then. The bid will go out and we'll hope for a lot of competition so we can get good prices.
Perfect. Thank you. Great information. Councilor Davila, did you have a question?
Maybe I think he might have just answered my question without knowing. Good to see you, Attorney Moore. Attorney, I think I understood that excellent, thorough explanation, but so we are approving this and they are going to hire a vendor to do the towing out of the parking the city owns, correct?
The vendor's already under contract, right? So it's a
who's
contract
that
that's
vendor?
the vendor is CJ's Towing. I think
Okay.
they're on at Pasco Road, right? No,
Right.
am I messing that up? Yeah, I'm probably messing that up.
I know which one it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna open it up again.
Yeah. We had competition. We did a bid in 2017. The Parking Authority again did the bid. It's an odd contract towing because it's not subject to Chapter 30B. It's an exempted service, which is interesting to me.
Right.
But it's exempt. But I always kind of err on the side of let's do a bid because you can get better prices that way. So we did a bid. The interest really wasn't there for somebody from a bigger group. The biggest group we had was CJ's Towing. They were the ones that kind of met all the requirements. To be totally frank with the council, and I've said this to the city before, so they won't be surprised. I am not at all satisfied that we had the bid in 2017 that resulted in the contract we ended up with, because we didn't have the competition. The market, for whatever reason, only gave us a sole bidder, and we bid it twice, and that's what we ended up getting. So this time around, I have a few ideas for how we're going to combat that issue, and I think we'll be much more successful. And I feel like we're going to get a couple of these big ones competing with each other, and we'll get much better result.
Right. Would you happen to know how much we paid for the towing contract?
Yeah, I don't know if we pay anything. I think it's a percentage of what's collected. That's essentially how it works. So, there's a percentage of each fee that's involved. There are a city fee that is 100% collected by the city and owed to the city, so it's not touched by anybody but us. Then there's a tow fee overall that gets split between the vendor and us. There's a storage fee. There's the auction fee. Like all these things. There's a stack of them. So that's essentially how the money gets taken out. It's not a question of us paying them a fee. It's more of a percentage basis of what's collected. So it depends on a lot. It depends on how many tickets for written, how many, in what year you get bad weather, because a lot of this is affected by towing that takes place during big weather events. So in my limited time in parking, I'm not a parking expert, even though I'm at the authority doing that work. I've learned that it's very dependent on year to year. And you sort of look at it and go, well, how many ticket writers did you employ during that year? Did you lose people? Did you have a big 3 or 4 big blizzards? All that stuff makes a huge difference in towing more than any other bottom line number, for sure.
Would you have to know the average revenue on the city side from the towing and ticketing?
I would say if you're looking at overall on-street revenue from let's say meter collections and ticket collections, you're looking at this year somewhere between 1.5 and 1.6 million. I would say that in a better year, in a non-crazy COVID type year, you're probably looking at just over 2 million. I think we did 2.1 or 2.2 in the last good normal years at the Parking Authority. So yeah, it ends up being a sizable amount of money for the city. It's really something that I'm hopeful that in the future we can have a good discussion about adjusting on-street rates. I'd be really happy to sit and go to any committee meetings and talk with the council and have a good, frank discussion about where we stand in the market for our on-street rates and compare that to other communities. I think it's a really important discussion to have. Obviously, right now with what's going on in business markets, it may have to be something that is a longer term approach, but it is something that we should talk about because it's been a very long time since we adjusted those, and there's a lot of market adjustment that I think is necessary.
All right, thank you, Attorney Moore.
No problem.
Sounds like another finance meeting, Attorney Moore.
Yeah, I'd be happy. It's a good one. I love it. I can't wait to talk about this one. You let me know. I'd be happy.
He gets all excited. Look at him.
Good.
Every time I call you, I call the parking authority first, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, he has 2 offices." And I'm like, I always call the wrong one that you're at. But
That's all
thank
right.
you for that explanation.
No problem.
Any other questions from counselors?
No
Seeing-
question. I'd like to make a motion to approve
Thank
at
you.
this point.
Thank you. That's what I was going to ask for.
I just went back over the 9 items. I think we agreed on all of them. So I'd like to make a motion to approve from the Finance Committee these items that we just discussed.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Orders are approved from the Finance Committee. And if there's no further discussion, the meeting, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Do I need that? Thank you.
Second.
Second. All right. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you, everybody.
All
Everybody.
right.